everyone. This is our 5th Coffe Hour for the academic year 2014-15. And I always am impressed with the breadth and depth of our program. And this graphic demonstrates that we have people in 19 universities working to infuse entrepreneurship through the Coleman Fellows Program. And today's agenda is pretty exciting. We have, for the first time in the history of the Fellows Program, as part of the Coffe Hour, students from 2 universities that have the Coleman Fellows Program on their campuses. We have St. Louis University, who has Jerry Katz, who's the director there, as a student with him, as part of his presentation for dialogue with us. And also, Diane and Steve from UNCG have 3 students present, I believe. In addition to that, we have a guest, Amy Rogers, who's the director of the ABA conference with us to talk about the conference details. And so we would like to get going with the meeting. If I can ask those who are in the meeting room, please mute their phones or computers or devices that they're using to call in. That will help the quality of the meeting. And when you are speaking or would like to comment or have a question, please hit or click on the raise hand button so we can manage the meeting. There are some tech issues with some schools, and my hope is that they will join us momentarily. So we have Jerry on the phone, on the call with us, connecting. And we have some people just calling on the audio side. And then also,
if you're real sad that we don't have
you can, let's see. I'm going to mute your phone on my end. Okay. So I'm going to, at this moment, ask Jerry to start his presentation. And this is the same presentation that he presented at the Fellow Summit in August. And Jerry, I have your presentation loaded, so I'll be moving the slides as you go through it. So let's get started with your presentation. Go ahead, please.
Okay. And I apologize for violating one of your cardinal rules. The phone here isn't working, so I am using audio from the computer. So once I finish, I'll mute it so everyone else can hear better. Can you hear me okay now, Joe?
Yes. Yes, we can. Thank you.
So I did a presentation at the summit talking about it's not as foreign as you think. And part of what this is an effort, and you can hit the next slide. Basically, what I did in doing this talk is talk to fellows who aren't from business schools and talk about that a lot of the skills that you already have as a professor in arts and sciences in other fields actually are pretty applicable to the kind of businesses and the kind of acumen you need to start businesses and your students starting businesses. And one of the things I wanted to do today is also add a couple of key resources and supports. And if you saw the slides I did, you'll know what those are. So hit the next one, please. The amazing thing is, and one of the things, one of the pieces of research the Coleman Foundation actually embraced wholeheartedly is some work I did and some other folks that showed that the majority of people who are self-employed in the U.S. aren't from business schools. Look at this chart. Basically shows some of the professions, occupations with the highest percentage of self-employed people. And if you notice, you're looking at things, entertainers, sports-related workers, model makers, which are typically coming out of engineering, photographers, artists, writers, musicians, childcare workers. We don't train for that in the business school. So the point is, if you're going to prepare people who are going to be self-employed, who are coming out of colleges, you got to get out of the business school. So hit the next one, Joe, please. This is the good news. If you're thinking, well, how can I prepare students to be self-employed? The fact is that if you are a...
Sorry.
That's the best music I've heard this week, so that's good. So the thing is, if you are a professor doing professor sorts of things, you actually have a lot of the skills that you need to be an entrepreneur. Part of it is, we're always talking about business plans and pitch decks and stuff like that. And the fact is that in planning programs and planning for grants and planning for your class, you have developed planning skills. You can think through what's going to happen next. And that's really the basis of thinking for this. You can learn how to do a business plan and know what the line items are. But the fact is, you know how to plan already. Opportunity recognition. Most of us as academics are always looking for opportunities to publish, opportunities for funding, opportunities to present. Stop and think how you do that. You scan the environment. You think about what matches your skills and interests. And that's exactly what opportunity recognition is. So you can talk from personal experience about how you look for opportunities, and you can train those sorts of skills in your students without really having to retread into becoming a business professor. We're also pretty good at prognosis. Most of us, when we write something, we think about how is it going to be received. When we think about presenting something in class, what could go wrong? And that's what prognosis is all about. It's bulletproofing what you do. And again, as academics, we do that as a part of life. If you just imagine, if you were going to present something to a faculty committee, think about how you prepare yourself, how you think through who's going to say what could go wrong. That's exactly the same skill we're talking about here. And finally, there are veridical thinking skills, the difference between what is theory and what's reality. And we often, as academics, try and think about, okay, so we know what the theory says, how do we teach it to our students? When a student comes to us with a real-world situation, we're talking about, say, well, how does this relate to the theory? You stop and you figure out how to match it up. And that's what's really cool about applying this in business. You have to go out and find out what's happening in that business. But when people start telling you, here's what my day-to-day life looks like, you can map that onto what you're reading, what you're learning about in entrepreneurship pretty quickly, because that's what we do as academics. Next slide, Joe. So, if you stop and think about this, you're already teaching a lot of this already. If you have grad students, what do you do with them? Well, you're teaching them how to find jobs, how to find grants, how to find these. You teach them how to evaluate those opportunities so that it matches what they can do well, so that they've got the best chance of getting that job, of getting that funding. You help them figure out what's best, which is literally how you assess opportunities, which again is a key part of entrepreneurship, and how to pursue these opportunities, how to plan for it, how to put together programs, activities to go after and pursue that opportunity. All of this is exactly what entrepreneurship is about. In fact, there are people who talk about academic entrepreneurship. It's actually a subspecialty in entrepreneurship research, and what they're focusing on are how most academics have a lot of entrepreneurial behaviors in them. Next slide. So how does this sort of thing map? Just to let you know what I've been talking about and what it gets called when you're reading an entrepreneurship text, when we're talking about finding jobs, grants, opportunities, that's called opportunity search. When we talk about matching skills, these opportunities to people's skills, that's called capability assessment or competitive analysis. When we talk about which of those opportunities are best for the student or best for you, that's opportunity evaluation. And then how do you pursue the opportunities is a lot about marketing and impression management. So the cool thing is the stuff that you are teaching, that you do yourself, that you teach grad students to do, and maybe even your undergrads, are actually part and parcel of what entrepreneurship education is all about. You just didn't know that that's the language for it. Okay, Joe, next one. Cool. Now, depending on what your core discipline is, you may actually be coming in with additional skills that are relevant to being an entrepreneur. If you're in the humanities and arts, everything that you folks are working on involves expression and communication. It's not enough to know something. What's important is getting it out to the rest of the world, to people who can appreciate the art or appreciate the idea. Well, that's crucial. When you think about people in entrepreneurship are always talking on TV about pitching and things like that. Pitching is what this is all about. And that's, that's literally what is central to your disciplines. In the sciences, things like quantitative skills, I will tell you right now, in a business school, entrepreneurship majors are the worst, the worst students when it comes to the financials, putting together their financial plans. The hilarious thing is when I have people from the sciences, when I have people from engineering, they look at doing accounting and said, this is just arithmetic. Give me something hard. You know, the rest of the business students are going, oh my God, what's going on with these guys? But the fact is, all of you folks in the STEM areas have massive quantitative skills compared to people in business. And, you know, that means that you can do some really number-intensive kinds of projects and really wow people at that end of it. And also, let's face it, if you're trying to do technology, having basic understanding of science, technology, having some skills to exploit that is tremendously important. The difference between a kid with programming skills starting an app and a kid with a cool idea but no programming skills is literally getting the app out that first weekend versus spending half a year trying to raise $100,000, $200,000 to get other people to do the app. So it really does make a difference. And then just, you know, in the arts and sciences, there are a lot of people in a lot of majors who make things, who prototype, who create things, and there's tremendous power in selling an idea, getting people to buy into an idea when they can see it, when they can feel it, when they can actually try it out. So that kind of ability is crucial. Okay, next slide. So some interesting sites. Actually, the SBA site, SBA.gov, has tremendously improved in the past 3 years. I'm really impressed. There is actually now a free online business plan creation program. It's free. You can do a little work and go back and sign back in and just keep working. You can create PDFs from it. The cool thing about this is the model they use is actually the model used by the SBA, by small business development centers, which are in 48 of 50 states, and by SCORE, the Service Corps of Retired Executives. So if you're using that online help, you can actually get free help in your locality, or if you're using SCORE, even by email. They have a great little program called Size Up, which will let you compare your business, your proposed business, to what the competition looks like in your area. And again, the data, everything is free. Also, the SBA site has some great locators for help in your area. Like I said, SBA offices, veterans offices, women business offices, small business development centers, all sorts of things like that, and they will tell you everything that's in a particular locality. If you're trying to find out what a particular market looks like how much money do people make in a certain zip code, you can try a site like citydata.com. Next one, please. Thank you. One of the things I found made the biggest difference for people outside the business school is letting students do a business simulation, because it really, trying to understand the flow of money and customers and your inventory, supplies, and like that, you can teach and teach and teach, but it's a lot easier to get a feel for it, understand the dynamic nature of business if you do a simulation. What I think is really cool is now there are actually a lot of simple business simulations free online that you can have your students do. I've actually put 3 of them here. Coffee shop and lemonade stand are actually, can be set up for easy, medium, and hard, depending on how many variables, how much complexity your students want to have. And it gives them a great way to learn about the ebb and flow of business. If they go through those and say, I want to do more, you can actually do that more complex. That Tycoon online can be made into a really serious simulation with a lot of challenge in it, and that is a great way for students who don't have access to lots of business courses, accounting things and the like, for them to sort of learn this at a base level. Okay, Joe, next one. So in this very brief session, and Joe said, aim for 5 minutes, knowing I'll probably go long. What I wanted you to take away is that a lot of the skills that you develop will carry over when you are teaching entrepreneurship. You actually know a lot of this stuff, you just didn't know the entrepreneurship names for it. And that point goes back to this point, you can map your current skills over to entrepreneurship and really be able to start at a much faster pace with much more sense of confidence as you're pursuing this. And the last thing is help helps. If getting help, whether it's from places like the SBA, whether it's from other folks in the Coleman Fellows Program on your campus or across the country, it all helps. I think that's the end of it, right? Oh, well, there's one more, right? So, next slide, Joe. Yep. So, so yeah, if you one of the things you can do, this is my textbook, and any of you can contact your McGraw-Hill representative and ask them for a review copy. And it runs 700 pages. It's got more than 1,000 footnotes if you're really into that. But I started out, my doctorate is actually in psychology. I grew up in family businesses. So you'll find that this comes at it at a more normal kind of regular language kind of approach, and you can all probably get it to get your copy for free, which is, I think, the right price for a book for a professor. Okay, am I supposed to take time for questions?
Yes, and you have a student with you, right? You're going to introduce your student.
I do. That was we're operating off of my Mac laptop, so I've got. If you see, I've got this whole room full of people.
Oh, wow. Okay. But before we get to your students, are there questions from the community? There's a lot of information that Jerry put together at the summit, and based on some of the comments, we try to keep it sort of concise for the virtual room and virtual meeting. But there's a lot of, I used the simulation that, the lemonade simulation that you mentioned. So at this point, let's stop for a minute and take some questions from the audience.
I left them speechless.
You left them speechless, yes.
Folks, if you notice, because you all got the slide, my email is on that first slide, and if you come up with something as you're thinking through this weekend or anytime, please feel free to drop me an email. Always glad to answer any questions. And don't worry about it. It's all part of.
Oh. Okay. Go ahead, Jerry.
I was done.
Okay. So can we go to your student?
Sure. Let me have her sit down. This is Amelia Kargas. I'll let her tell about herself.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everybody. So my name is Amelia Kargas, and I just graduated last month with my master's in nutrition and culinary. And here at SLU, that program has a really strong emphasis on entrepreneurship. So a lot of my master's classes were in the business school, which was a little bit unusual for me. I went into this major because I've always been passionate about food and the science behind that. Little did I know that I had this kind of entrepreneurial spirit in me that was really able to come out. So the business that I started is called Rebel Roots Caramel Apple Company. So basically, this all started when I was a kid. The recipe itself is my grandma's. She passed it on to my mom, and a lot of people wanted my mom to start a small business and start selling these caramel apples, but she didn't have the business skills to do so. So it kind of sat on the back burner for a few years, and then when I finally got into these classes, I had the opportunity to write a business plan in one of Dr. Katz's class. So I just happened to take this idea and sort of run with it, and with the support from the entrepreneurship program in combination with the nutrition program, I was able to develop a really strong business plan, put that plan into action, and really start up a business that I think will be successful for years to come. So it's really, I mean, it was really important for me to be allowed to have the tools that the business school offered to me. I had obviously never written a business plan before, and so even though I knew that I had always wanted to start some sort of culinary business, it's a really difficult field to be in. More than half of restaurants close within the first year of business, and so it's definitely hard to keep afloat. And I think, you know, a lot of people think as long as you can make good food, you'll be successful, but in reality, you have to have, you know, balanced financials and know how to manage employees and have a really strong plan behind the food that you're actually serving. And so these classes gave me an opportunity to build that up and strengthen it and make it bulletproof, like Dr. Katz was saying. So if I would have gone into into the world with the first draft of my business plan, Rebel Roots definitely wouldn't be where it is today. It was really the nitpicking and the support and the revisions that I made in these business classes that allowed it to grow into what it is now. And so at this point, I've gotten through one season of the business, pretty much went August through December. And I guess I should say that the twist that I put on this, they weren't just, you know, your basic caramel apples. I knew that I had to set myself apart. So I used my culinary skills to start, you know, infusing the caramels, doing specific pairings. So for example, I had an Earl Grey tea and biscotti caramel apple. I had a coffee and chocolate, rosemary cashew. So they were pretty, you know, interesting flavors that had never been seen before. So it took some planning to get people comfortable with that and kind of get my story out there. So basically, yeah, I mean, the experience that I had in the entrepreneurship classes here was what allowed me to be successful. And so now I'm in the off season, but definitely hoping to, you know, go look back at my business plan, make any little tweaks now that I've been through a full season and kind of learned from that. And I think I should be good to go for the next 2 years.
Cool. Thank you, Amelia. And I know that you have also taken some classes with some of the other professors in the fellows program. Can you talk about some of that?
Yeah, so, you know, a lot of the fellows from the nutrition program, you know, that gave me not only the business side of things, but also the nutrition and the sciences. And so to know that all of these professors that I've had that have given me bits and pieces of, you know, my full major, that they all come together in the, you know, that they all share the Coleman Fellowship is definitely important. I mean, there's a lot of fluidity between the nutrition program and the business school. So, I mean, that's kind of what's gotten the program where it is today. And it's definitely produced a lot of, you know, entrepreneurs that are doing food-related items.
Okay. Are there questions for Amelia from the community?
Oh, we got one from here.
Oh, okay. This is fantastic. I love hearing about your business. And wanted to sort of tie two things together and what I'm hearing. And first, what Jerry talked about with how you approach with these other disciplines and how those skills come into play and how that, you know, there's so many individuals that aren't in business schools, they're out from business, and so like yourself, you're coming to this business and not coming out of business school. One thing in the clinic, in the legal clinics that I talk about, and it's not in the context of business plans, but it's the 5 W's and the H, the where, the who, the what, the why, the when, how. And I was thinking about, you know, what you're doing. I wanted to understand a little bit better of like the where, and I know you're the who, and then if you just talk a little bit about it.
Did you guys hear that question, Joe?
No, could you please repeat that? Because
I'll repeat the question before you answer.
I mean, just a summary of it. So I kind of gist of it, but I don't know if everybody heard it.
Okay.
She was wondering, well, she said that I'm clearly the who of the business, so what is the, you know, the where? And so I guess that could be taken a few different ways. I guess I did forget, this kind of reminded me, one thing is that I am sourcing all locally, so that was like another big aspect. So as far as the where, are you asking like where I'm selling or where I see this going? Okay. Well, I was selling at farmers markets and at a coffee shop in the city. And I do, you know, in my business plan, I did kind of foresee this going into an online business. I have a website right now. The way I'm taking orders is, you know, more on a personal basis just because I'm so small right now. But I do see it expanding, hopefully maybe do another year of just local and then expanding into nationwide. I want to look into shipping for next season and things like that. So there's definitely, I see it expanding for sure. But right now I think it's really important to just grow it locally.
One other thing, let me add, one of the judges we were able to set up for Amelia's business plan is the manager for the most gourmet chain of grocery stores in town. It was like Whole Foods before Whole Foods came to St. Louis. And he's already told her that when she wants to go to distribute through his grocery stores, he's got space for her. So she literally, I mean, and actually, it's basically an option she has whenever she wants to take it.
Well, thank you. Is there a question from Webster?
Yeah, Joe. This is Larry Baden from Webster University in St. Louis. You've touched on a couple things in terms of what you learned in your first season. What would you say are the most important one or two things, the advice you would give to students that you learned from this first year?
I think one thing is to just really carefully develop a business plan before you jump in. It's definitely easy to try to do all the exciting stuff first, you know, get your logo done and, you know, do the actual sales and start developing the products. But I think one thing that I learned is it's definitely smart to step back, look at the financials, see if it's actually feasible, really define who you are and what you want your like take-home mission to be. Because when you're talking to people, you're not only selling a food item, but you're selling, at least in this case, you know, your values on local food, your values on, you know, doing things homemade and all from scratch. So there's really an educational component there. And so to be clear of who you are and what you want that business to portray, I think is definitely important. And also, well, I guess that goes with developing a brand. I guess also networking too. Not being afraid to get out there and, you know, take different opportunities. You never know who you're going to run into. So being willing to try new things and maybe take a few risks here and there can lead you to some really good opportunities.
Larry, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I did, and then it went out of my head. I'm thinking about caramel apples, and I can't focus.
Okay. Any other questions for Amelia from the community, from the faculty? Okay. Amelia, thank you again for taking time to spend this few minutes with us, and appreciate all your efforts and success in your caramel apple business.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. So at this point, we're going to switch gears and move to the presentation from University of Carolina, UNCG in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay, good morning, everyone. It's Diane Welch and Steve Kramer from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I also have 3 of my Coleman Fellows here and 3 students. And I think we have about 25 minutes left, so Steve and I are going to just briefly summarize our presentation, and I really want to give the time to my 3 students that did come today and thank them, as well as everyone else. So just overview, this is the business model presentation. We're going to point out a few things. If you go to the next slide, Steve. So what is a business model? This is just, there's a lot of definitions of business models. The one we're using is really intended for cross-disciplinary classes outside the business school, or if it's a beginning business school class. Our program here really focuses as a requirement in the minor for non-business students, the minor for business students, as well as the major on taking the feasibility and business plan. So the feasibility is idea to opportunity. The business plan is opportunity to action. So they really mold that idea in that first class and do it in an entire semester and then spend a semester in the business plan. That's a requirement for our students. So this is, the business model is, we look at that as much simpler, that comes before the feasibility plan and the business plan, it's really good for classes across campus that want to spend a smaller amount of time, and also for those students that are thinking about getting into the entrepreneurship minor or major, that they sort of have a prelude of thinking about what goes into this, and gee, maybe I want to, it's sort of a recruitment tool, I'd call it. It gets them thinking about it, but it's not a repetition of what we're putting into the major and minor, which I think is really important, but it gives them those first steps, and that's really what we're trying to do here. Next slide, please. So the business format, as I agree with everything Jerry said, by the way. He's always right. So a lot of this goes along with what he says, and that pitch objective is in it. We always have them get up and present. And next slide. And it's really, you know, would you invest in this? So there's 3 different business models we're going to sort of present today. And I'm going to take a very small amount of time because this is going to be on the Coleman Fellows website after we get done. We did make some changes from the presentation we made at the summit. It's got some of the stuff we did in the summit and also some additional information. But they get 10 to 12 minutes to present this. We basically ask these questions up on the PowerPoint slides. Next. And it can't exceed 3 pages. So it's real simple. I would sort of call it as a detailed outline, plus they have to do 2 additional pages. That's it. And one of those 2 additional pages has to be their financials. I want to bring up that if you haven't gone to the SCORE website, as Jerry was mentioning, go to the Service Corps Retired Executives SCORE.gov website. They have a fantastic financial template there that does all the additions and subtractions and all the stuff our students seem to have trouble with a little bit. But it's really comprehensive. It has about 6 tabs, but it is self-explanatory. And I actually this semester in one of the classes, the feasibility, had the SCORE representative come in and explain it. And we're using that in the business model in this 200-level course, which is, like I said, a beginning course called Campus Entrepreneurs, as well as Feasibility and Business Plan. So it's continued through the courses so the students really get a good idea about it. But I created a template, and I think it's much better than mine. And they have improved on it. So if you've been using it in the past, go to their website in the last 6 months. They have a new one up.
And it's actually score.org.
It's score.org. Steve corrected me, and he's a great librarian. So, okay, so these are the sections of that basic business model that's 3 pages that we cover. And again, this is all up on the Coleman Fellows as soon as this gets over with. Next. So it's the market, the financial analysis. And let me talk a little bit about Campus Entrepreneurs. And before I get to the students, I want to tell you what I've been doing a little bit this week. And also I'm going to give Steve an opportunity to talk about a couple different business models besides the one I just presented that we have added to our presentation that might be more adaptable, like to arts and also to maybe the other one is used in health and human sciences in a real beginning class where students are sort of trying to figure out their way and what do they want to do with their life. And he spends a very little bit of time on business models, but he gets the students to sort of think of those concepts. So I'm going to leave that to Steve to cover that. But one thing I want to mention, and this is a plug for the Southern Entrepreneurship in the Arts Conference or the Self-Employment in the Arts Conference, is I spent this week going to 4 classes outside the business school, presenting information about that conference, handing out applications. I got a huge response. I also talked to those classes about the major and the minor. And one of those was, for instance, a music entrepreneurship class. We have like 45 students in. Last night I covered a real basic 100-level class that combines sustainability, entrepreneurship, and global. and these are sort of the beginning students, and they didn't really understand how our program works, where they could get, everything is cross-listed with other departments, so there's a little bit of double counting, call it what you will. So if they're in consumer and retail apparel, we have 2 classes in that, so they can get credit in that department as well as apply it to the minor. But I'm really encouraging you to get out and let people know about that. We all put posters up, we do our best, but that's really important. And my voice is giving out because last night I was speaking until 9 o'clock at a senior forum at one of the continuing care retirement communities. I did 2 of those this week, talking about our program and cross-disciplinary entrepreneurship. I brought up the Coleman Foundation and thanked them for all their support. But really getting out into the community, letting those people know what we're doing here. And lots of times they don't hear about that because that's not sexy and it doesn't end up in the newspaper. So I'm going to turn it over to just a couple plugs there, and especially the Entrepreneurship in the Arts Conference, to get out to those other classes across campus and let them know there. I ended up with about 50 applications from doing that in the last 4 days. Steve, do you want to?
Yeah, just briefly, we'll wrap this up. And these are slides we did not use in Chicago, so these are new. There's not really many books out there on business models for entrepreneurs. Most business model books seem to be more about established companies switching their business plans or their business organizations as they go through, like Netflix, for example, going from DVDs to online. But this is one example that is focused on startups. It's interesting, a lot of you probably know it. And the next slide actually is a page from this book that illustrates, in contrast to the 3-page model that Diane profiled and that we talked about in Chicago, there are also plenty of 1-page versions. And indeed, for a arts class, or actually any kind of class, where you want a very, I guess I'll say, a very simple introduction to framing a business idea, a 1-page business model may be that kind of approach. This is from that book I just mentioned, and I'm not going to read it to you, but you can see just basic concepts of what the different parts are, from concept of the business to who your customers are to how you handle supplying your product or building your product. So that's one model. Another example on the next slide comes from Bill Johnson, who was a new Coleman Fellow last year and is doing some interesting work. And he also, what's the conference, or the program he was at in Florida with Stoll recently, with Cyrus?
Experiential classroom.
Yeah, thank you. Anyway, Bill's, some of you know Bill. He has this different approach. I know that's really probably hard to see. We'll put this PowerPoint online next week if you want to look at in detail, and definitely email him if you want to borrow or use this model. He'll probably say yes. But another approach he's used, and also this is one that one of our freshman classes used last semester, and I had to teach towards it in terms of research. And you can see it's much more visual, and students who had to elaborate in each of these 9 quadrants or 10 quadrants with the center idea of a business model. So you do have 1-page approaches if you just want to introduce the idea of forming a business plan, thinking about the different things that go into it, as well as the 3-page model that Diane presented and that our students used in their ENT 206 class. And should we go, Diane, to the students now?
Yeah, and just one comment to follow up on Steve. You know, we all know students learn in different ways, so the art students, the people out of the creative industries are much more visual learners, we know. So that's why there's these different models that might be really, really helpful. One thing I should bring up, and we'll add these to the PowerPoints, is I did have my book published by Palgrave Macmillan in December. It's called Creative Cross-Disciplinary Entrepreneurship, a practical guide for taking entrepreneurship across campus. And I will put that information on the website. It is basically, I would call it a primarily non-academic book. It's very practical, how to actually do this. And we have a chapter on how we did it here at UNCG. I don't think there's anything else out there like it. So it was really intended, from my point, to help other schools to really incorporate entrepreneurship across campus. And I do have a book on global entrepreneurship. It's in its 2nd edition that just came out last year, as well as case studies in global entrepreneurship. And it's also not written from a U.S. perspective. It's writers from different countries around the world. But but it also teaches students if they're looking at importing and exporting, which is huge, and opportunities for that for our students.
Can you post all this information to the fellow site?
I will, yeah. I just wanted to bring that up because Jerry brought his up and I forgot to put that in there. So I'm going to turn it now over to our students. So if you could bring the PowerPoint up that talks about the students. And we're going to start with Robin Moulton. Robin.
Hi, everybody. My name is Robin Moulton. I'm a current junior here at UNCG, a marketing major, entrepreneurship minor. I really enjoyed this class. I'll start off by talking about when we worked in the Spartan Trader, which is our 100% student-run store here on campus. Me and Nate, we worked on the marketing team, and it was our job to go to the other schools in Triad and just talk about how the Spartan Trader was now open to them, open for new opportunities for them to make money and so forth. And we really got a lot of freedom, I'd say, with this project. Like, I like how Dr. Welsh let us really do most of we really reached out to a lot of people trying to contact them to set up presentations. We worked really hard to make a video, another commercial for the Spartan Trader, and it was just a lot of new skills that I was able to learn by doing that. And with the business model, I really liked how it was a little bit more detailed than I thought it would be, honestly. When she told us we were doing just an outline, I thought it was just going to be pretty basic. But like you guys were talking about, especially with the financials part, I had to really think more about how I was going to get everything that I needed. My business that I proposed was a phone repair shop on campus that would be a little bit more affordable for students, and we will also recycle the used parts, try to be sustainable here at UNCG. And it was just...
Also about your campus entrepreneurs that you wanted a business loan.
Oh, yes. I also want a business loan to actually start my business here on campus, and I'm taking the feasibility analysis class right now at UNCG, so I'll try to put that in there and just work really hard to actually get it going as soon as possible here.
Right.
The feasibility analysis. My plan was... Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
He just wants to tell you what his business model was, and just as FYI, in this class, they can buy for a $1,000 loan to start their business on campus, and they spent 50 hours, everybody in the class in the Spartan Trader, to get ideas for businesses they could start. So,
okay, cool. Thank you.
My business. Okay. My business, like I said, was to start a phone repair service here on campus. We really wanted to target students, and because, our phones are always broken. Mine's actually broken right now. But we were really trying to just be really affordable, and I still need to work on some of the logistics, as in a place. We're hoping to actually operate out of the Spartan Trader, if that's possible. And I just need to work more on the financials, how we're going to secure affordable parts so that we can make our services affordable to the students.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's hear from your two other colleagues.
So can you change the PowerPoint that has the student information on it, please? And next is Naif Al-Khalifa. Naif?
All right. I'm from Saudi Arabia. I've been here for 4 years. My major is marketing, and I have a minor in IT. I tried to get a minor in entrepreneurship, but I had problems with my financial aid, and I couldn't. But I took 2 of the Dr. Welsh's classes last semester, which were Campus Entrepreneur and Family Business, which for me were kind of on the same track. We're completing each other in some way. And like Dr. Welsh said, business plan and feasibility analysis also complete each other. So what I'm thinking is entrepreneurship program here at UNCG kind of has all these classes that are connected to each other somehow, other than maybe it's a little bit different than other majors. The way the 2 classes were connected is that my father back home has a big real estate business, and I also had to learn how to market for the Spartan Trader here at UNCG because I was part of the marketing group with Robin. So being able to identify the target market and then reaching out to that target market and presenting to them, learning from the mistakes, and then improving upon them, going to the next university was helpful to kind of give my father an idea of what he's supposed to do to market for his real estate business, which is apartment complexes, and how to market for apartments back home. So the two classes for me were connected. I don't know if they were for everybody else, but in my case they were. We were able to go out to, I would say, 4 to 5 different universities around the area, and we talked to a lot of different people, whether it be official presentation or just around campus, just chatting with people. And we really got a lot of ideas on how to improve on the Spartan Trader, and we obviously wrote about them in our project.
And we can post more of these details onto the fellow site as well. So let's hear from the third student.
Okay, and Lisa Frank.
Hi, my name's Lisa Frank. I'm a design student here at UNCG with a minor in entrepreneurship, and so I'm going to graduate in May, so I've taken most of my classes so far as entrepreneurship goes. I'm taking the business plan class right now, so it was good to have a little bit of a foundation with the business model so I know where I'm coming from. I'm kind of like stepping into it. But I was also in Dr. Welsh's Campus Entrepreneurs class, but I was in the other marketing group, and we were able to do sort of like an event to raise awareness about the Spartan Trader on campus. We had a little tie-dye event, and it was really good because we were able to practice doing all the different marketing things that you would do in a real business, and since it is on campus. And so it was good, I think, because we were able to get our hands in there and like not just in theory, this is what we would do if we had this opportunity. We were able to see, you know, how do the other students respond to our advertisements, how do they respond to this, how do they respond to the event, how did we get any new customers to the store. So it was a really good experience getting to practice and like really get your hands dirty, seeing how marketing and all that works in the campus entrepreneurs.
What did you do for your business?
And then for my business model, I did a map business on campus was my idea. I would have created maps of campus to give out at the beginning of the semester, and then would have advertisers on the back, and that's how I would make the profit. And so that would be my campus business that I did.
Okay.
Sorry.
Good. So it's a lot of information they were presenting, but we do want to have an opportunity for the other faculty and other campuses to ask questions to the students because they were using the business model and the canvas, and which is sort of based on the lean startup. So are there questions to any of the students from UNCG? Comments, thoughts? Gina, do you have anything?
Nope, I do not.
We have a, okay. So if there are no questions at this point, I'd like to invite Amy Rogers to talk about the SEA conference. And this is the 15th annual conference. And Amy, take it away, please.
Sure. I know a lot of you are familiar with it, and we do, Diane Welsh does a wonderful regional event there at UNCG as well. But basically, the whole point and mission of SEA is to expose college students in the visual, performing, literary, and media arts to business concepts, to professional artist practitioners who are out there making a living with their art. You know, as the earlier slides show, just how many in the different areas of the arts are actually self-employed and entrepreneurs. So this is information that they often don't get within their art degrees, so that we want to kind of expose them to concepts. So this February, we will be holding the 15th annual conference here in Lisle. Diane will also be hosting an event at UNCG, and then Drury University will be hosting an event as well. This year for the annual conference, we have special fellows pricing, which is mentioned here. The registration code is there. So on the form, all you need to do is punch in that code. We'll keep track and monitor how much of the scholarship we're using. So the student rate.
Congratulations. I saw it this morning in my spam folder.
Hello. Can you please mute your phones? Sorry, Amy, go ahead.
Okay, so the student rate is only $50, and then the faculty rate is $149, but that is if you bring a student. Otherwise, it's the full $199. We have lots of flyers and different marketing materials on the website, so if you follow selfemploymentinthearts.com link and go to events, you can pick the event that you are going to attend, and then it'll either link you to like UNCG's site or Drury's site, or it will, if you click the annual conference, there's all the different links to the marketing materials, registration forms. Next week, we should have a list up of all the presenters and the tentative schedule. We're just putting the final touches on that. Right now, we have over 50 different presenters coming from all across the country, from all different backgrounds within the arts and entrepreneurship. So we're very, very excited about that. We also have 2 competitions in conjunction with the conference. There is the Juried College Art Competition, which Milliken has sponsored and coordinated us for quite a few years now. We have 800 in prizes, and that's open to all college students. The submission information and everything is online as well. Then we have the Idea Pitch Competition for Creatives, which is brand new, and as much marketing and promotion as we can get, we would certainly appreciate you passing that on to your students. It is actually using the business model canvas that you saw from Diane and Steve. So it's using that model and then the pitch concept. The top 3 finalists will all receive free registration to the conference, $250 to help with any travel costs they may have, and one night's lodging as well. And there is no entry fee for the competition or for the Juried Art Competition, but the deadline is January 31st. So we would suggest that students start working on it sooner than later with that.
Amy, I have a question. The Creatives First Play, the Idea Pitch Competition for Creatives,
yes.
Is the first prize $3,000 or $1,000?
It is now $3,000. We have some North Central College alumni who have donated money towards the competition. So first place is $3,000 for the competition. But there's 3 finalists, and they receive that prize package I mentioned earlier. And then of those 3, they will all pitch live on Saturday of the conference. There will be one winner that receives $3,000.
Okay, cool. And these are the program needs that you put together?
Right. Right. As I mentioned, we're just finalizing everything right now, so there are a couple programming needs that we do have. We are doing a panel on Friday evening, entrepreneurship across disciplines. We do have some panelists already, but we'd like to open it up to any fellows. I know a lot of you are doing some amazing programs on your campus, so if you would like to share about your programs and what you're doing across disciplines on your own campuses, we would welcome you to that panel. If you're interested, email me late this week, either today or early next week, so that we can make sure to get you on the schedule for that. In addition, we are doing, I'm going to kind of jump over this first step to kind of stick on the faculty programming. We're doing some roundtable discussions as well. These can be very specific topics geared towards faculty. For example, Gary Vaughn is going to lead teaching financial literacy to non-business majors. So this is small group discussion. It's more of there's a discussion leader, but then it's more of a conversation that takes place. So if there are certain areas, I know we have psychology here, if there's, some different topics there that you wanted to speak specifically on with other faculty, we welcome those topics. Lastly, we have a panel. Now, this one is geared towards the college students, first steps for starting an artistic business. And we had one person who had to drop off the panel this week. So we are looking for at least 1 or 2 more panelists. Currently, we have artist practitioners, one from the music side and one from the visual art side. So since the topic is first steps for starting, if we were to get somebody with some more business or academic experience to complement their background, that would be a great addition for that. Last, we do have a presenter, faculty, and sponsor reception, which is new this year, which will give the opportunity to mingle outside of the traditional conference space amongst the students. So that will be Friday evening.
Thank you. If you have not attended SEA conference in the prior years, I would highly recommend that experience. Bring a student along. It's one of the best experiences that I've had at any student conference, and other directors on the call probably feel the same way and vouch for that. And the programming element that Amy mentioned, we could have a group of fellows potentially at the conference and have a roundtable discussion on how entrepreneurship is infused in the arts and related subject matter. So it's really a great opportunity for all of us, and I hope that you take advantage of it. And if you have other questions, Amy's email and phone number is on the screen. Please feel free to contact her directly. And are there any questions at this point for Amy? Okay. All right, I guess not. So if there are questions probably come up later on. Please feel free to email me or Amy. We'll be happy to find out more information or give you more information about it. So the remaining coffee hours for the academic year are 3 for all community or fellows. February 27th, March 27th, and April 24th. And on May 22nd, there is a coffee hour for the directors only. We will see all of you on the remaining coffee hours and hope to see a number of you at the SEA conference with your students. So we will look forward to connecting with you further down and talk more about entrepreneurship. So if there are any other comments or questions before we end, please let us know and raise your hand or speak up.
Hi, Joe. This is Mona Olson from Cornell. I just have a quick question on the interim reports that are due on the 31st.
Yes.
We have the link, or we have it in a Word doc. Do you want us to attach that and post that part online, or sort of what's the most ideal way to make sure that we get you the data, how it would be most effective for you?
We sent you a SurveyMonkey link. So
it just goes on the link? Okay.
Yeah. So please complete the survey. And all the directors must have received, if you have not seen this email from us, it was sent out on December 20th. I sent out a SurveyMonkey link. If you click on the link, it will take you to a survey. You complete the survey. In addition to that, I also attached a PDF document with all the questions, so you'll be able to gather information from your fellows on campus. But the data collection is done through the survey.
Okay, so we have the survey link, but we don't have to put it on the interim report part on the Coleman Fellows site.
No,
okay.
I mean, if you wish to summarize some of your findings and share some information, by all means, you can put it on the site. But we are, from a data collection standpoint, using the SurveyMonkey as a tool.
Okay, great. I will submit that later today.
Okay, great. Any other questions about the mid-year survey? Please email me. We try to maintain the 1-hour timeline as much as possible. So at this point, if there are no other questions or comments, we can end the call. Thanks, Joe. Talk to everybody later.
Thanks very much,
Thanks,
Joe.
Joe. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.